Good evening to, thank you. Good evening to all of you. I hope that you are well. Apologies that we have started a bit late. We were waiting for some of us to join, but I think now we can proceed. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Karibuni to this BHILI webinar titled Built to Lead, Becoming the kind of leader that people trust. I'm your moderator for the evening, and I'll be walking you through this incredible 90-minute journey of wisdom and laughter and leadership fire. And to set us off, we'll have a bit of house rules. And so please make sure that your camera is turned off at all times and your microphone as well. So the speakers will unmute their microphones and cameras when speaking. And when you're asking a question, you'll also do the same. And the second thing, feel free to type your questions in the chat box. But if you feel more comfortable talking or speaking of the question, you are also very welcome. And you'll just raise your hand, we will see, and we will allow you ask your question or give us your thoughts on the particular thing. The third, questions will be entertained at the Q&A after the presentation. So if you have any question, you are allowed to ask it during the presentation, but it will be attended to during the Q&A session of this webinar. And today's agenda is what we just said, learning to get people to trust us. So we'll learn about 5 things in summary. So one is, how can I build inner trust and lead from a place of character and authenticity? And the second is, what daily actions can I take to earn trust through consistency and accountability? And the third is, how does emotional intelligence help me become a more trusted and influential leader? Number 4, what systems and team practices foster a culture of transparency and trust? And number 5, how can I cultivate other trustworthy leaders and leave a lasting legacy of trust? Now, to set the tone for this powerful night, I will want us to welcome the president of Bujari High Impact Leadership Institute. But before that, I'll play a short video that summarizes this whole webinar in like a minute or so. And so the video. Excuse me, just a bit. There we go.
We've all been on those uncomfortable team building exercises, haven't we? Unless you've always worked on your own. Then it would just be a bit weird. You know the ones, though. When your teammates have to catch each other, when they fall backwards. And when it comes to your turn, you remember that hilarious practical joke you played on the whole team. But now you're in midair, and it's too late. Trust and respect are key ingredients in any workplace. Without them, there'll be no one to catch you when you fall. But it doesn't end there. Without trust and respect, your workplace can quickly become toxic. You don't really trust your employees. Don't you know that your workplace is toxic? Anyway, once your workplace is toxic, getting the most out of employees suddenly becomes so difficult. Is everyone on board? Well, they might look like they are, but if there's no trust, then relationships will be strained. Work output and teamwork will suffer as a result.
So it's a very short video. I'll play it again.
We've all been on those uncomfortable team building exercises, haven't we? Unless you've always worked on your own. Then it would just be a bit weird. You know the ones, though, when your teammates have to catch each other when they fall backwards. And when it comes to your turn, you remember that hilarious practical joke you played on the whole team. But now you're in midair, and it's too late. Trust and respect are key ingredients in any workplace. Without them, there'll be no one to catch you when you fall. But it doesn't end there. Without trust and respect, your workplace can quickly become toxic. You don't really trust your employees. Don't you know that your workplace is toxic? Anyway, once your workplace is toxic, getting the most out of employees suddenly becomes so difficult. Is everyone on board? Well, they might look like they are, but if there's no trust, then relationships will be strained. Work output and teamwork will suffer as a result.
So that's the video. It's a cartoon, and so we might think it's of no importance, but it is very important. And let's get back to our slides. And so back to today's agenda, back to the 5 things that we said. How can I build inner trust and lead from a place of character and authenticity? What daily actions can I take to earn trust through consistency and accountability? How does emotional intelligence help me become a more trusted and influential leader? Number 4, what systems and team practices foster a culture of transparency and trust? And number 5, how can I cultivate other trustworthy leaders and leave a lasting legacy of trust? And so to start us off, I would like to invite the BHILI president to briefly introduce the Institute to us and also set the pace for the topic that we have today. Welcome, sir.
A good evening to all who have made time to this session. My name is Peter Bujari. I'm leading many institutions, this being one of them, but I wanted to say a few things before you start. So first of all, I am very grateful to young people like you guys. So Mohamed, Abdul, Sheila, Kelvin, and others who are able to join to make time on this weekend, Saturday, to learn, how to lead in a way that people trust you. One reason of starting the institute is because in my own challenge, I do see that we who are 50, 60, 70, 40s plus, we have probably failed Africa. We have failed you. We did not become the kind of leader that you expected. And therefore, in my own challenging in life, in my leadership journey, the big question is, how can we build young people to be the kind of leaders that we were not able to be? All the profession, in my view, are relevant and important, but the failure of leadership is what puts Africa where it is today, is what puts the country like Tanzania with the abundance of resources, very rich, but to be called a poor country. It's what puts all African countries where they are. It what puts your family and my family where they are, struggling to make a difference. And so I perceive that being a leader who is trusted by people is a fundamental priority for everyone, for us to advance to the career and vision that portrays the reason why we are on this planet Earth. And so for speakers today, I want to thank you for making time and preparing for this session. For those who are attending the webinar, and I may not be present throughout, I want to encourage you to invest in the leadership. And I will particularly cite one type of leadership where you want people to trust in the leadership that you are holding, is putting people in front, not putting your needs in front, but putting the needs of your people in front. Many leaders who have been able to be trusted is because they did put the needs of the people in front and not their needs. Professor Lumumba cites in one of his speech, he says, we elect hyenas and then we give them charge to take care of goats. And when all the goats are eaten, we wonder why. So can we put people in front and not our needs in front? And that is what will make people trust in us, trust in what you are doing as a leader. So these are the few sentiments that I wanted to share with you as you begin your learning and leadership challenges that we are suffering today, where the needs of the people are not secondary, but just the last. But the needs of the political parties and the needs of the rulers are probably in front. And when we're able to put the needs of the people in front, then we're able to inspire the people that we lead, and we're able to win their trust. So these are my few remarks as you embark on this journey of the webinar. And I do wish you all the best in deliberations, but do take this. Are the needs of your people in front and your needs at the back? And that is what builds the trust that people may have in you. Otherwise, we will still be where we are and have been here for the last 60 years or so. And I wish you fruitful webinar. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak before you begin the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for the beautiful insights. And for the interest of time, we'll go straight into a short bio of our speakers. And they were supposed to give us a bit of hi, but also because of the interest of time, we'll go on and before they speak, they'll briefly introduce themselves. And so the first speaker that we have today is Kelvin Craig, who is a visionary leader, legal scholar, and passionate advocate of justice and social change. He's the CEO of Daisy Foundation, a youth-led charitable organization, and also serves as the Vice President of ALSA India, promoting legal awareness and international collaboration among law students. Currently pursuing his law degree at Chandigarh University, Kelvin is known for his eloquence, leadership, and dedication to ethics and empowerment. He has spoken on both national and international platforms. I think he will tell us more about that, sharing insights from his journey in legal education and youth activism. And we'll go straight into our next speaker of the day, who is Sheila Nalamai, who is a passionate and intentional young leader who currently serves as the chairperson of Young Theologians Initiative for Climate Action. She previously served as the campus secretary of SPUSA at St. Paul's University, the Limuru campus, where she led with clarity, compassion, and courage, known for her authenticity, strong communication, and value-driven leadership. Sheila believes that trust is a leader's greatest legacy, and she is here to show us how to earn it. And our last speaker of the day is Mohamed Zuberi. So this is a second year Bachelor of Commerce and Finance student at the University of Dar es Salaam, driven by a deep passion for service, servitude, and uplifting others. From an early age, Mohamed recognized his calling to lead, beginning as a class monitor. He will tell us more about that. I'll skip that part. He will come and tell us about that. So he is a dedicated student leader at UDSM, University of Dar es Salaam, having served as class representative and secretary general in the Daruso cabinet. He values actions over titles, and he is committed to building an inclusive and empowered student community. And lastly, we have our moderator of the day, who is a passionate youth leader, author, and advocate for value-based leadership. He is the CEO of Gentlemen for Christ and Vice President and Course Administrator at the Bujari High Impact Leadership Institute, where he empowers young leaders through faith, mentorship, and practical leadership training. Author of Accountability, the Center of Good Leadership, Jonas is committed to building a generation of leaders driven by integrity, responsibility, and purpose. He also serves as Tanzania's national coordinator for the Zindigi Prize and has held leadership roles in public relations and partnership developments. And so that's the people whose faces you will be seeing regularly today in this webinar. So straight into the webinar. So we are going to have three parts, and the first part is laying the foundation, the inner life of a trusted leader. And you're going to focus on trusting, or trust begins with character. And this is going to be taken by our first speaker, who is a force of wisdom and impact. So please join me in welcoming Kelvin Craig, who's here to show us that integrity isn't outdated, just under-applied. And so you can you can react to the comments as he begins speaking. Mr. Kelvin, you're welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jonas, for this wonderful opportunity. I hope I am audible enough to everyone here. I currently
Yes.
on, so my network might be a bit trippy, but I'm grateful for this incredible honor. Good evening, everyone. As I said, it's an incredible honor to be with you all today, and I am truly humbled to be speaking on this subject that is very close to my heart, particularly leadership and trust. As introduced, my name is Kelvin Craig, and I am the CEO of the Daisy Foundation and currently serving as Vice President of ALSA, India. Over the past few years, I have had the privilege and the responsibility of leading teams and building initiatives and navigating both success and navigating struggle. And if there's one thing that I have learned along the way, it's this: leadership doesn't begin with strategy, it's trust. You might ask, why trust? Why not focus on performance? Why not focus on vision? Why not focus on innovation or results? Because it's simply because without trust, none of those things matter. People may follow you out of duty, but they will not believe in you. They may comply, but they will not commit to you. The foundation of sustainable leadership is not control, it's character. So let's talk about what builds the trust. The three things that I have learned from my personal experiences again and again that are essential are integrity, are humility, and consistency. Integrity is doing the right thing even when it costs you, even when it hurts you. Humility reminds us that leadership is not about all the answers. And consistency builds reliability. Currently, our generation lives in an era of image. We curate our online personas. We simply chase perception. But real leaders choose authenticity over appearance. When I became CEO of the Daisy Foundation, I felt a very big pressure that I need to look the part. But that image was completely exhausting. The turning point for me came when I told my team, I am still learning and I need your help. That vulnerability broke barriers because people do not trust something that's perfect. They trust something that is real. So let's talk about what is often unseen: your inner world, your personal life. Being a trusted leader means learning to respond, not just to react. And that takes discipline. And the discipline I'm talking about is both spiritually and emotionally. Personally, that meant creating space for reflection. I have a tendency to journal. I have a habit to journal regularly. I take moments, I take quiet moments to pray and ask, am I leading out of fear or am I leading for out of purpose? Emotional intelligence is not a soft skill. It's a leadership necessity. Because you can't expect others to trust you if you don't trust yourself. And self-trust starts with personal integrity. Early in my university life, I struggled with self-doubt. But as I honored small commitments to myself, very small commitments like studying when I said that I would, eating when I said that I would, waking up when I said that I would, I built inner trust. That inner trust allowed me to lead with conviction. Last year, during a major regional project under ALSA, a communication breakdown nearly collapsed the entire event. As vice president, I chose to take responsibility. I owned the communication gap and outlined a recovery plan. And I asked for the continued trust. That moment did not weaken my leadership as he looks weak, he fumbles. Rather, it did quite the opposite. It solidified it. To lead well, you need to remember that you are not there to control people. You're there to influence them through your presence, through your example, your values, and your emotional consistency. You need to put to note that you were not born flawless, but you were built to lead. Every time you choose character over comfort, every time you choose honesty over your image, and every time you choose service over your status, you become a leader that people actually trust. So leadership is not just a role that you play. I like to say it's a life that you live. So build trust within yourself first, then extend it outward with integrity, humility, and authenticity. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for your presence, for being part of this important conversation. I think we were directed that we can ask questions that we would respond to later at the Q&A session. But I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to a remarkable individual, our administrator here, Mr. Jonas Mugisha Bujari, because he is not only a dedicated colleague, but he is a very close friend of mine, and a friend whose commitment and leadership has made this webinar possible. His efforts in organizing today's events and inviting me here to speak, it speaks volumes for his heart and his meaningful dialogue. So thank you, Jonas, for your trust in me and for the work you do to inspire others. I would now love to hear your thoughts and take any questions you may have. Otherwise, we can continue with the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very insightful session that you've given us. I have had quite a lot of takeaways. I'll just say one. People don't trust perfect, they trust real. And getting a real person in the world today, it's a bit of a stretch. And so let's take a few moments for a Q&A. Kindly drop your questions in the chat, or if you're feeling bold, raise that digital hand like a leader. But I see, Kelvin, you have 2 questions. So we'll start with those. If we'll have any others, then proceed from there. So the first question is, how do you keep your personal values intact when you're under pressure to perform or conform? Mr. Kelvin, that's for you.
Hauna chakula mabati ya chakula kona? Hauna.
Mr. Kelvin? Okay. I think maybe he's having a bit of an issue. So the other speakers that we have, you are also welcome to participate in the Q&A. So the question we have is, how do you keep your personal values intact when you're under pressure to perform or conform? I'll give this chance to Lamai. If you have anything to answer this question, kindly, you're welcome.
Thank you, Jonas. Thank you so much for that question. And I think what happens is I try to remind myself that performance is temporary, but who I become is permanent. Because, you know, as a leader, you should be asking yourself, what am I creating? And so if you're creating something that's going to last, that's what should be standing with you, because you should ask yourself, a life story is starting yourself after this decision. And so even if It's just make sure that it's not something you're going to regret, whether as a leader or as a person. I think that's what I would say.
Thank you. I think you've answered it very perfectly. So we have 3 other questions. We'll answer this one from Blessing Bujari, and these 2 questions left, we will add them with other 2. So we will be answering the first 2 questions, and at the end of all the sessions, we'll try answering all of the questions that are left. So the other question that we have here is, what's the one internal struggle leaders face that people rarely talk about? I'll ask it again. What's one internal struggle that leaders face and people rarely talk about? I'll ask it again. What's one internal struggle that leaders face that people rarely talk about? I think I'll give this to Mohamed. If you can hear me, you're welcome to tell us your thoughts on this.
Thank you very much. From my point of view, an immense internal struggle that leaders really take in, and it's not really discussed more enough, is I could say the psychological stress that leadership puts in on a person. Meaning that so many times we would want to see our leaders perform even in those pressured situations, not knowing that they are as basic humans as everybody else. And and that's why you'd find that most leaders that really haven't gotten to that certain level, they would break under pressure, because that psychological stress, if not dealt with, could really impact on somebody's normal psychological mindset. So I feel like for me, that's the most biggest struggle that leaders deal with, that most people tend to ignore on when looking at leaders.
Thank you, sir. And I think that's very much intense and factual. So I think we have one question here that is easy to tackle. Can a leader truly be trusted by others if they don't trust themselves? I think this is a very straightforward answer. A leader who does not trust themselves will not trust what they do. A leader who does not trust what they do will not trust the people that he has to do it. And at the end of the day, the people feeling that they are not trusted, they will either not do or they will do for the sake of doing. I'll quote something that Kelvin told us. He said that people should not follow you as a duty. And so once as a leader you can't trust yourself, then you give people a duty to trust you, a duty to follow you, a duty to be led by you. So you don't tell them do this and they follow because they want to or because they believe in it, but just because you are at a higher position than them, so they have to. So I think a leader cannot be trusted by others if they don't trust themselves. And so you have to first start trusting yourself before you begin asking to be trusted by others. And with that, I think we'll delve right into the second part of this webinar, which is leading with credibility, actions that build trust. And we will focus on how your day-to-day decisions earn or erode trust. And next up is a leader whose influence spans minds and continents. Sheila Nalamai, as you can see in the slide there. So she's here to unpack how influence, when used well, can outlast authority, and also which actions that we do build trust, and which simple day-to-day actions that we do actually erode trust. Lamai, you are welcome. The floor is yours.
Good evening. Thank you so much, Jonas. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I am so happy to be here to be sharing this week with such young visionaries and leaders across all regions because I believe that we are not all coming from the same country. And yeah, I'm so happy to be here to be speaking to you about something that I really hold close to me, and that's trust, especially when it comes to leadership. And personally, when I first came into leadership, that's like 2 years ago, it was to a club. And I've learned a lot since then, but one thing that I've learned is that leadership is not built in the spotlight. It is built in the quiet, the behind the scenes decisions. It is also how you show up when no one else is listening to you, like when no one else is watching. How are you or what are you doing as a leader? So I have a few discussion points that I'm going to take you through. And yeah, I hope that by the end of this, you are going to, I hope that you're going to get some practical steps to help you as a future leader or as a current leader. So what is credibility? What does it mean to be a credible leader? Yeah. And from what I understand is that it means being the kind of leader that people trust, not just because of your title, but because of your skills. What do you hold as a leader? And leadership with credibility is built through consistency, courage, clarity, and care, even when no one is watching you. So let's dive right into the first key point, which is follow-through and accountability. And I'm going to leave you with this. People may doubt what you say, but they'll always believe what they may doubt what you say. I had a little interruption, but they'll always believe what you consistently do. And so what I believe by follow through is consistently honoring your words with your actions. And accountability is owning up to your outcomes, whether good or bad. That means when you own up to your actions, that's being accountable. Doesn't matter whether it's a good action, whether it's a bad action. You have to own up to all of them. And why does it matter? And why does it matter? Why does velocity and accountability matter? Because number one, when leaders don't follow through, people stop listening because trust has an expiration date. And I think that's one thing that we have all experienced. Especially right now, I'll give an example of our country, Kenya. Right now, we rarely trust our leaders. I mean, the leaders that we trust are very few, and that's only because they speak a lot and work less. Number two, accountability creates a culture of responsibility. It invites others to step up to, because I do believe that one of our strong goals as a leader is influence. And so, how do we influence people? So we also have to check on that. Sorry for that. Sorry for that. I muted my mic accidentally. So yeah, for accountability also teaches people that integrity is not a performance; it's a standard. And our previous speaker has talked about it. What are you doing when people are not watching you? And so how do you honor this? As a leader, you should learn to underpromise but over deliver, and when it falls short, honestly create and grow from it. Number two, we're going to talk about clarity and courage when it comes to leadership. You know, there's a myth that strong leaders always have it all figured out, but real trust is built when you lead with clarity in vision and courage in uncertainty. So what's clarity? Clarity is being clear about your values, your visions, and your expectations. And that means you also are being real with yourself and you're being real with others. And courage is your willingness to speak the truth, and make hard calls, even when it's uncomfortable. So together they form the backbone of authentic leadership. And why does it matter to have clarity and courage in leadership? Because number one, people trust leaders who are decisive, honest, and consistent, not dangerous hesitant. If I come to you right now and I'm trying to present to you a proposal about what I want, and I'm not even you can hear it in me that I don't even trust that project, you're not going to trust me. Number two, clarity reduces confusion and courage reduces fear. As a leader, if you face people with courage, these people are going to trust you. But if you face them with fear, they're going to ask themselves, if this person is also afraid, I mean, how are they going to lead me? Yeah. And in moments of uncertainty, people don't look for perfect answers. That's also one thing I've learned from my experience as a leader. They always look for a leader who is present, someone who can guide with direction. I mean, even if you're not sure about what to do, just be present and just believe in yourself that you're going to work through it. I'll take one last starting shot for that part. A courageous leader doesn't silence fear. They move forward with it, guided by clear principles. Yeah, thank you. We're going to move to empathy and emotional intelligence. Yeah, as a leader, one thing you should hold close to you is leading with your heart. Not because it's easy, but because emotional intelligence is the anchored chart. Empathy is the ability to genuinely feel with others, to understand their emotions, their perspectives, while emotional intelligence is the skill of recognizing, regulating, and responding to emotions in yourself and with those you lead. And why does it matter to have empathy and emotional intelligence? Because people are more likely to trust leaders who hear them, and feel with them. To be a leader is to be human. Okay. Also, high in emotional intelligence helps you manage conflict gracefully, give feedback constructively, and inspire loyalty through compassion. In emotional charged situations, logic alone can fail, but empathy makes space for feeling and understanding. I believe that when you approach your people as a leader with empathy, with humanity, with emotional intelligence, these people are going to trust you, and not because you're forcing them to trust you, but because they can feel that you're also trusting your heart. Empathy builds connection, emotional intelligence sustains it. Together they create a space where people are empowered to feel and belong. Now let's move to trust in conflict and crisis. I think when it comes to crisis and conflict, that's a big part for me, especially because I've experienced this a lot. But yeah, it's normal for leadership to face this. It's normal for you to face crisis. But what do you do when you're faced? What do you do when you're faced with conflict and crisis as a leader? So first, crisis and conflict don't really character to reveal it. Trust in this moment comes from a leader's calm presence, your honest communication, and your wise decision making. It's not about always having the answers, it's about being steady, sincere, and solution-based when things fall apart. And why does it matter to have people trust you in times of conflict and crisis? Because in times of pressure, people don't need a perfect leader. They need a present one. And I'll just tell you that. You have to be present, whether or not the situation is good or bad, you always have to be present as a leader. The response during conflict is the emotional strength for everyone else. So I'll give you guys an example. There's this time in my leadership in Central University, we had some arguments. Sorry, not arguments, it's arguments between the leadership and the leaders and the students. And it was really hard to approach the students and tell them that finishing work viongozi is not something you can do, but then you just have to do it because that's your task as a leader. And you also have to show people that it's hard, but that's why I'm your leader. You know? And trust is built when you hold your space for tough conversations without panic, blame, or avoidance. And I'm going to talk about blame and avoidance for a minute. if you're the leader and you work with a team, kindly, always remember that in times of conflict in society, you're not supposed to be blaming anyone. You're also part of it. And so what can you do? Show up and try to be part of the team that is dealing with the crisis. Try to be part of the change. Not throwing hands, because let me tell you, throwing hands won't help you with anything. It's just going to make the situation worse. The most trusted leaders are the ones who take down that everyone else is taken, and that's true. And I have actually also experienced that. Now, so the next slide, I'm going to give you a few tips on how to live the principles, on living the principles. I hope you guys can still hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So how do you earn people's trust as a leader? Number one, be consistent in the small things, like replying to messages. That's something that will not even be discussed. And one thing that I've realized is that, and these I've learned from people's experiences, is that people, they complain a lot about leaders disconnecting themselves from the people they lead. Just because you feel it's a superior, you feel like you can't reply to people's messages, you feel like you're too powerful to give your time to people. And that's wrong. Also, keep your word, show up, because people begin to trust you when they can see you and they can predict your integrity just because you've been practicing it. You don't have to tell them that I'm a person of integrity. That's just something they see. Number two, communicate with clarity and compassion. Say what you mean and mean it kindly, even on hard news. Because people, I've realized everyone loves when they're told the truth than when they're being lied to. Okay? Even when the truth hurts, but we decide to tell them, that's power, not lying. Number three, own your mistakes publicly. Accountability is not weakness, it is leadership. Because sometimes all you have to say is, I was wrong. And the moment you agree to people that you're wrong, that means that's your first step to rewriting that wrong. Yeah. Number four, pause before you react. Because emotional intelligence is often about responding, not reacting. Because most of the time, I'm wrong. Sorry for mixing the languages. You're told it's about how you respond, because most of the time things make us so mad and we just want to react at that moment, and that reaction might be the worst, and it might even make you lose that particular position. So you have to evaluate yourself before reacting to a certain situation. Number five, and the last one, be brave in the face of conflict. Do not disappear and feel safe and comfortable. Rather, just create space for uncomfortable situations and stay grounded in your values, not let it go. Now, I have a few moments from my journey, but I'm not going to take you through that. I'm just going to go straight to the conclusion. Now, leadership isn't about titles or applause. It's about how you make people feel in your presence and how you impact them in your absence. As a leader, you earn trust when your actions align with your words, when your courage doesn't silence your compassion, when your presence is a safe space, even in chaos. A trusted leader is consistent, not perfect. He's honest, not harsh. He's human, but led by principles. Now, my passing short is, you don't wake up trusted. You become that person with your daily choices, your quiet bravery, and your unwavering values. Don't live like you're building something that you're not living, because you are. Like I said, leadership isn't built in the big moments. Leadership is built in what are you doing when people are not watching? Who are you when your people are not there? Yeah, thank you. I don't have much to say. I would like to welcome your questions and to thank Jonas so much for this opportunity. And I hope I helped someone.
Thank you for that. So I think you already have 3 questions. Oh no, wait. One is directly to Mohamed. And so just a bit of housekeeping. you might have seen a poll pop up. So the question in the poll is, have you ever trusted someone in leadership and regretted it? So it's just a poll so that we can get to know. I can see till now we have 4 responses. So let's go and answer. It's just that one question as we keep answering the questions available here. So there is a question to Lamai, I think, from Blessing. It says, is trust built more through what you say or what you do? I'll repeat the question. Is trust built more through what you say or what you do? You are welcome, Lamai.
Thank you. Thank you, Blessing, for that question. That question is very direct, so I'm just going to tell you, trust is built through what you do, not what you say, because everyone just talks. Everyone talks, but what are you doing? So I have a manifestation, yeah, just to ask you to vote for me, but and then you do, yeah. So and then I don't do what I told you the manifesto, so that becomes I just talk. So trust is built through what you do and not what you say. You can't ask people to trust you. People trust you because of what they see.
Thank you for that. So before you go ahead and mute your mic and catch your breath, let me just finish you off with the last question directed to you, which says, how do you recover when you've made a decision that caused people to lose trust in your leadership? I'll repeat the question. How do you recover when you've made a decision that caused people to lose trust in your leadership? You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. The first step of doing that is owning your mistake. Fully and without, don't start making excuses. Just own that you did something wrong, acknowledge the impact that it made, and be willing to sit in the discomfort is first. Because the only way you're going to get out of that situation, out of that out of that situation is by dealing with it. And so how do you deal with it? You just own it. Tell the person or the people that you have disappointed that you are wrong. And now after that, you have to make visible change, not just in your words, because you can just apologize. But also apologies would mean little if the behavior stays the same. I hope I've answered that.
Thank you for that. So I think it's been answered. So thank you, Lamai, for the very interesting insights that you've shared with us. And so before we get, so part 3, which is also second last part of our discussion today, is the legacy of trust, cultivating trustworthy systems and teams. So we are going to be focusing on institutionalizing trust for long-term leadership impact. And so Mohamed is going to lead us in this part. So Mohamed, you will answer the question that was directed to you, then you'll go directly to your part. So the question says, what's the biggest trust-breaking mistake even well-meaning leaders make? I'll repeat the question. What's the biggest trust-breaking mistake even well-meaning leaders make? You're welcome, sir.
First of all, hello everyone. I would really like to thank everybody here for showing up, because that's a very key character for any leader to have. And also, I'd like to thank Jonas for giving me this opportunity to try and speak with people internationally and get different opinions on things that really matter, such as leadership. Now, going forth on answering the question about the biggest trust breaking mistake, for me, I really, really think is leaders stop being humble. I've seen it just so many times whenever leaders get into certain positions. I would say the pride in themselves indulges them, and they find themselves maybe knowing or not knowing, just losing that humble character that a leader should have. They start thinking that they are better than everybody else. They start talking down on people, and when it's the same people that have trusted you and given you that position, and then now you're talking less of them. That's really that's a really big trust breaking mistake that I've seen most leaders do. And I guess after answering that question, just a simple introduction is my name is Mohamed, and I'm in Judaism. I'm currently enrolled in a couple of leadership positions, including ministry secretary of at UDism, the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. But I'm also the general secretary of the Finance Association that is also currently UDism. But I am the USRC representative for my class. And with that, good evening, everyone. Now, I would be focusing on one of the most enduring currency of leadership, which is trust. As we know, in any lifespan of an organization, changes are inevitable, so leadership be included. That is why it is very important that that footprint that we live on about, which is legacy, is something that we should really, really discuss, and as a leader should really be focusing and reminding yourself on what is the type of legacy that I want to live with these people. And you know, the best legacy that you can live isn't your wealth, your fame, or even your achievement, but really is the trust that the people have given you to really, really you know, make action on that trust. And then I would also like to move on to discuss with you why trust really matters, because people forget that trust is a strategic asset. It does so many things. It saves time, it reduces friction, and also most important of all, it multiplies impact. Meaning that you can really see teams move faster, ideas, you know, flow freer. You'd see delegation of power becomes more powerful, and even the feedback that you'd get is becomes much more honest once trust is a key component of a leader. So conclusively, to make leadership become sustainable, trust is a very important a factor, because you should see leadership not more of a spotlight, but more of a torch that lights up everybody else, but also is something that you would eventually like to pass on to somebody else, and you know, keep on lighting up the torch that people continue to be inspired. And before going to the first aspect, which is mentorship, I would like to really I'd like to say that I want us to reflect on what it takes, not just to gain individuals. We should really take time and use trust not just to gain individuals, but we should really build systems and cultures that sustain trust long after we're gone. Now, the first aspect that I'll be talking about, which is mentorship, is I'll start saying that, you know, the biggest mistake that leaders make during leadership is thinking that, you know, they it's them thinking that they are irreplaceable. Real leaders don't just create followers, but create leaders. And the best way to institutionalize trust, which is a major factor in leadership, is we have to be a mentor. And mentorship, being a mentor, means intentionally making an effort to transfer knowledge, values, and vision to others, so that you can see your impact onto others. Now, a big question that we have to ask ourselves is that, as leaders, how many of us were trusted with a responsibility that even us as individuals did not think we could handle, but because somebody else saw our potential, we then decided to take that opportunity, and the results is we've become the amazing leaders that we are today. Now, something else that I'd like to apologize for is I had created slides for this particular topic, but my I don't know why, but my laptop, whenever we do these Zoom meetings, whenever you do these webinars through Zoom, it always causes problems. So I guess for any of you that would want these slides after, you can just contact me and I'll send them to you. So continuing, we as a leader, I feel like it is very important that we try to delegate power onto others so that we can continue to build a sense of leadership to others who right now maybe just do not have the confidence or the enough self-esteem and self-value for themselves in order to try and aspire to become a leader. And that is why mentorship becomes something that is very important. And I would also like to challenge each and every one of us after this meeting to try and find someone to lift up, and make room for somebody to rise, because the pride or the feeling that you'll get from seeing somebody else rise due to your influence is a feeling like no other. So, in the interest of time, I'd also like to move on to a second aspect, which is very important, which is transparent systems and delegation. As the same way plants need sunlight, the same way fish need water, trust doesn't thrive in the shadows. It needs transparency. And in any leadership structure where systems are hidden, there is inconsistency, or system, or the information is personalized, it breeds suspicion, and which suspicion is a big enemy of trust. And once people don't trust you anymore, your whole leadership aspect in itself starts breaking down. So something else that you'd want, if you want people to trust your leadership, don't just do good, but show how it's being done. Set clear examples, share your decisions, and delegate authority. And if any of you who would get leadership positions where they have a political aspect to it, it is very important that you set your principles earlier, so that even people who would want to use you, but in a way that goes against your principles, they won't bother you anymore, because they understand that you're a man of principles, and if this is something that you don't want to do, they'll understand, and they won't start pressuring you on about that. Delegation, when done right, is not losing control, but actually it's building capacity, because um, through delegation, you are in a way creating your own personalized team that could even help you in the future, because it's the same leaders that we are working with right now. It's these same leaders that we will be working with in the future. So if you build this system of teamwork right now, it will be much easier for you guys to work much better in the future. And I remember just from the previous topic of mentorship. When I came into the university, I personally wasn't really sure about taking up a leadership role. But then when I started getting them, I had a very I was just a class representative at the time, and then but I was very good friends with the current president of my university. So what this guy did is, before giving me the position of ministry secretary for one of his ministry in the cabinet, he told me that I trust you can take this forward. And I would never forget those words, because they were such a powerful message. Because I started telling myself that if this person thinks so highly of me. It would be so disappointing to me and to him that if I would let him down and just not take on.
Uh, we've lost you, sir. I think he's had a bit of a network issue. So as we wait for him to join us back, we have a question here that says, how do you balance authenticity with professionalism, especially high stakes environments? And so I think I have seen Lamai answer. So Lamai has answered and she says that I think authenticity and professionalism are good partners. Authenticity is who you are. Professionalism is who you represent, is how you represent who you are. It's healthy to remind yourself that you can be real without being reckless. Stay honest and filter it with emotional intelligence. Don't hide your voice or values. Just present them in ways that respect the space and people in it. Thank you very much, Lamai. That is very insightful. And yeah, we have other two questions here. I think you'll also take them. Kelvin had a bit of an emergency, so he's left a bit. So there is someone in this meeting that I would want to recognize and ask him to introduce himself briefly and then answer two questions. I can see Mohamed has rejoined. If your network is good, you can proceed, sir.
Yeah, my network is good. I really don't know what happened. I just found myself disconnected and um my phone just wasn't receiving internet anymore. But I guess after a while, I think it just resolved itself. So yeah, I guess just conclusively with the matter, with the topic of transparency, I'd just like to conclude that clarity builds credibility, and I think we should just focus on, let us create systems, not where let us create clear systems, because these clear systems would really make our leadership easier, because they really build up on trust, which is something that is very important. Throughout this whole webinar, we've been talking about how really important it is for your leadership role. And going with time, I would like to move on to the third aspect, which is a culture of feedback and growth. No one becomes trustworthy by pretending to be perfect. We go through corrections and we mature through feedback. But here's the problem, though. Most people are really afraid to give honest feedback to leaders, and because they tend to fear retaliation, humiliation, or indifference with their leaders. But this is something that we really must change. We have to understand that a healthy team, a healthy council, a healthy institution must have a good feedback culture where it's safe to speak up, it's safe to question, and it's safe to propose better ways, because as leaders we aren't perfect, and we also should understand that you could be a leader in an institution where there are better leaders in that institution. So by accepting their feedback, you're really developing yourself through the other people, through the other leaders that you're leading. Now, also as leaders, we have to ask ourselves how can we grow? And the best form of growth that leaders can partake is through feedback. And when also the effect that feedback leaves is that when other people see that we listen, that we reflect, and that we adapt, they learn that trust is not about perfection, but it's humility and responsiveness. And I think a good example is one of our first speakers talked about how he took the blame. He took the feedback, and most people didn't see it as a weakness, but actually saw to it as a show of character. And the last thing that I would like to talk about is trust as a leadership legacy. We should understand that power isn't temporary. These titles isn't temporary. These leadership positions that we have are just temporary. So the systems the systems that we build, the people that you empower, and this trust that you instill, that is the legacy. And also to ask yourself, what is the type of legacy that you would want to leave? Because when people trust an institution more than um if you want to know that you really there's a legacy that you've left in a certain area, is when actually people trust the institution than the single leader itself. That's how you know that you've really made an impact in to the institution that you're leading. The feeling that if I were to step down tomorrow, would the team continue with confidence? Would the systems run without manipulation? Would the people feel empowered to lead and not just follow? These are the questions that you should be asking yourselves if you really want to leave your legacy as a leader. In a world full of broken promises and performative leadership, we really need to be leaders who lead by integrity and not instability. We should design a process that outlasts our presence and let us raise up others, and not so that they don't despair in our absence. So conclusively, I just want to say that trust doesn't happen by chance. It is cultivated through intentional mentorship, transparent systems, and these open feedbacks. And lastly, and a commitment to build something that lasts beyond us. This is the legacy that I invite you to build. This is the leadership that I think we should practice, not just for our term in office or our time in the leadership positions that we have, but for the future that we want us to leave behind. Trust is not a dream, but it's a discipline. Thank you. I'll be receiving any questions that people have.
Thank you very much for that, Mohamed. So I think you had two questions here to answer. The first question is, how can leaders institutionalize trust in environments where suspicion is the norm? I'll repeat the question. How can leaders institutionalize trust in environments where suspicion is the norm? You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. To my understanding, suspicion is, as I said, comes about when there's no transparency. When the leadership structure is hidden, when there's no consistency, when so sensitive information is personalized, that's where suspicion develops. So I feel like as a leader, if you really want to remove that suspicion, these are the key areas that you should establish. Because if you make things so clear to the extent that people don't have questions, then I would doubt if suspicion would arise, and you'd be an amazing leader if to remove suspicion in a place where it was normalized. I think that would be the legacy that we were talking, leaving a legacy that we were talking about.
Thank you very much. I'll let you answer one more question, then I'll get back to the guest I was talking about. So there's a question from Mbuke, which says, how do you empower others to lead without losing your grip on accountability? I'll repeat the question. How do you empower others to lead without losing your grip on accountability? Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Okay. First of all, as a leader, before delegating power, it should be a decision that you must have thought about, for a very considerable period of time, because you have to understand that that's a person you're leaving to represent you even after you're gone. So I feel like if you really take into that perspective and choose a bright mind, somebody who you'd think can carry on my legacy, I feel like the mistakes that they might do won't be as bad, into the extent that you taking accountability for delegation of that power would not affect your legacy. So I feel like, to answer your question most accurately, is that we should really, really look at the individuals that we are trying to delegate power to, so that we avoid accounting for something, for something that would, at the end of the day, destroy our legacy.
Thank you for that. So just a bit of a follow-up question. So according to you, and I'll pass this question to Lamai as well, do you think that when I am looking for someone to delegate my authority to, should I look for someone who is best fitted for that position, or should I rather look for someone who is not best fitted for that position and I teach them to become qualified for that position and then I delegate the position? I'll repeat the question for clarity purposes. Between these two people, there is one person who is actually overly qualified for me to delegate the authority. And there's another person who is not exactly qualified. So this second person, I would need to train, to mentor until they have reached that place where I feel like I can delegate the authority. So which of these two people would you think that you would delegate the authority to? Yes.
I think, to answer your question, personally, I would prefer to invest more in character. I mean, a person could be, overqualified in the sense that maybe his leadership experience, maybe his education and stuff like that. But something that's very important that I'd first look at is the character that this person has. So if I have the overqualified person, but I feel like his character, he's prideful, he's not humble, or maybe he's something with his own agenda, I would not delegate power to that person. I'd rather get an unqualified person, but I know has, the quality characters that I need, something like consistency, something like confidence, something like, empathy. And I would rather train that person to my image than go on about for somebody who's overqualified.
Thank you very much. Very, very this is gold. So I'll just quote one thing that you've said. You would choose character. And so I want us to go home with that. When you're choosing your friend, when you're choosing whatever it is you think you're choosing, what do you use to choose? And so from Mohamed, we have heard that it's character, and I completely agree with that. Lamai, what do you have to say?
Thank you for that. I think personally, it will depend on the context because if the task is urgent and high stake, I will lean towards the qualified one to protect it. But if there's room to grow someone, I will make space for it, like to mentor them and build them through the whole journey. So I genuinely think it depends on how fast we want the work done. Yeah, but I do agree that we look for character. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that as well. So it's now 9, but we started 10 minutes late, and my time is telling me we have 10 minutes left. So we'll just go on with our discussion as we conclude. So, Jay, wherever you are, please unmute your mic and say hi to us. Then I will pose my question to you.
Hello, Jonas. I hope everyone is okay. I don't know if you can be able to receive me well. Maybe you can confirm with me that I'm audible.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, thank you for hosting me on this panel. I have my voice is a bit hoarse. I have a bit of cold.
No problem. So, tell us a bit about yourself and what you do in less than a minute, and then I ask you the question that I want to ask you.
It's okay. Thank you, Jonas. My name is Jay Musheru. To the people who we haven't met yet, I'm an entrepreneur and also a philanthropist. I run Karuki Musheru Investments and also Karuki Musheru Foundation, also known as KMF by most of the people. It's a philanthropic organization where we deal with sustainable charity. Basically, I don't have much to say about myself. I'm still young. Haven't achieved so much that I can spend minutes bragging about, but I'm a happy guy, a good guy, for those who tend to think I'm good, and also an ambitious one. Still believing that we can be able to change the community that we are in and make it better and also be innovative. I'm a great love of tech and also currently working in branding. So yeah, that is the short story about me. More people know me in different ways. But yeah, I'm good. I'm ready for your question, Jonas.
Okay, thank you. So, the first question I'll ask you, we have 8 minutes left, and I have 2 other people who would like to answer this question. So, the second question that we've been basing our discussion on, you have 2 people and you have to delegate something. You have someone who is overly qualified, and you have someone who is not badly off, but still needs a bit of refining. So would you go directly to delegate to the person qualified, or would you go back and train this person who is not qualified yet, make them qualified, then delegate?
Maybe if I may ask a follow-up question, what am I delegating to? Maybe what kind of a task am I delegating to?
Let's say it's a report that has a 1 week deadline, a 2 week deadline.
I think I'll go with the second option of just taking that someone, because I don't believe in overqualification, because I believe everybody has their own flaws, even if yes, very much, because I wouldn't understand how we can say someone is overly qualified, because even if you're a doctor and you have very good accreditations and that you have very credible in different things and you are a specialty in different fields, I know that every person has his or her flaws. So I wouldn't be so sure if even if you say you are qualified to my own terms, because me, I believe in I see someone as qualified as per me. So I'd rather delegate something to someone who I have trained. I know his ways. I know all his or her ways. I know how they'll approach that thing and how they respond to different pressure or something. let's for example take an example of work. When I'm at work and I have something that maybe a client need, I need to have a deadline, maybe let's say the week you said, I wouldn't say that I need someone, a professional, to come and do the work, because I don't know how they'll do it. But if one of the staff is there and I know that he's not so good at it, but I know that I can be able to guide him through, show him what needs to be done, um, I think he would even do a better job than this person who tends to think that himself was overqualified, because he will do it his way, but not my way. Not to be selfish, but some things, when you delegate something, it means that you are the person who knows how it needs to be done, but due to a reason or two, you now need to delegate. So I'd rather go with this person who I'll train bit by bit, take time to show him what is supposed to be done, and I'm very sure, because I believe in people learning on the job other than learning to do the job. Yeah, that is how I'd approach that one, Jonas. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Jay. So, yeah, I think that is enough from me. I wanted us to engage further, but unfortunately, my time is not timing. So we had a question from Nziza that said, what's more important in a team, shared values or shared goals? And Lamai has answered it beautifully. So she says both are important, but if I were to choose one, I'd go with shared values because goals tend to change and get replaced. A team with shared values can disagree respectfully, navigate setbacks with unity, and keep showing up even when things get tough. Goals give us direction, but values give us alignment. And without alignment, goals become noise. Wow. The wisdom in these people's minds is phenomenal. I'll repeat that. Goals give us direction, but values give us alignment. And without alignment, goals become noise. Now, I have two other people who are with us, who are participating with us, who I would like to also discuss with this same question that I've asked Jay, I've asked Lamai, I've asked Mohamed, and so this person is Mboke. I think she's here, and she has been very active asking us questions. So, Mboke, wherever you are, kindly unmute your mic.
Okay. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am very fine. Could you briefly introduce yourself before you answer the question?
Okay. So my name is Mbuke. I am currently a second year student taking Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Statistics at UDism. And also I'm currently the General Secretary of our Economics Association.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you. Pleasure meeting you. So on to the question directly. Who would you choose between two people?
okay. So personally, I would go for the second option, because the second option comes a person who is ready to learn and ready to listen, rather than an overqualified person. So I believe that the best leader is the one who is open to learning the ways of other people, rather than coming with their own particular notions or information. So I rather mentor another person so that I can give them the dedication. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. And so far we've made our foundation on the values that we have. So Jay has spoken about overqualification. He says that overqualification means nothing. And so Mboke has also told us about values. And actually, Lamai talks about it in the thing she says. Goals give us direction, but values give us alignment. And without alignment, goals become noise. And so before we close this webinar for today, I would like to welcome Priscilla to wind up with her thoughts on this question as well. Priscilla, hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I hope you all are well as well. My name is Priscilla Mbwambo. I'm a second year student taking business administration at the University of Tanzania Institute of Accountancy here in Tanzania. And I'm excited to be here. If it wouldn't be a big issue, could someone please repeat the question for me?
So the question is, you have two people as a leader and you have a certain task or authority to delegate. You have two people. The first person is someone who is someone who is overqualified for this delegation that you want to give. And the second one is someone who is not exactly qualified, but has a bit of qualifications for the same delegation. Which one would you rather choose? The first one or the second one, which would require you to again mentor them?
Okay, thank you. I think if both of them have the time to spare, I wouldn't really choose. I'd have the one who needs more mentoring work with the one who's overqualified and learn from the overqualified one. And that will also allow me to make an assessment of the person who's overqualified, whether they are proud about it or whether they, as the person who's willing to learn, are still dependable and consistent, and whether their values are still aligned with my leadership.
Very nice. That was very straightforward. So basically, it seems like all of us are going in the direction of choosing the second person. And so, Priscilla, thank you for your thoughts on that as well.
Thank you.
So, as we end today's webinar, if you're going to forget everything, please remember that goals give us direction, but values give us alignment. And without alignment, goals become noise. I'll repeat it again. Goals give us direction, but value gives us alignment. And without alignment, goals become noise. So that's it. What an evening. A big thank you to all our speakers and everyone who joined. Remember, leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about becoming someone worth following. I'll repeat that again. Leadership isn't about having all the answers. And Kelvin says that the moment he expressed his vulnerability to his team, then they got stronger. So leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about becoming someone worth following. So this webinar that we have today has been pre-recorded and will be in our YouTube channel, I think in 2 days' time. And we have, how should I call it? It's not a book, it's more of a brochure, I guess. So this brochure is a more extensive discussion into what we've been discussing today. Everything that we've been discussing today is in this document. And so if you need it, you are welcome to have it. It is actually free. You just need to leave your email in the comment section, and we will send it to you gladly. I think it has about 16 pages. It has been prepared by the Bujari High Impact Leadership Institute. It's a bit extensive, but someone said if you want to hide knowledge or money from an African, put it in a book. And I am of the opinion that that is, as much as it's true, we can change it. So I want us to be the first ones to change. So I would appreciate, as we finish this webinar today, you would kindly leave your email in the comments section so that we can reach out to you with these materials and also give you an update once there is something else that we are having special as this, and you can partake with us again. And I would like to extend my thanks to the Bujari High Impact Leadership Institute webinar team that has been the pinnacle of us having this. For us having this webinar today, I have just been the face, but there is a whole team of people working for this webinar to become a success. And so thank you, Lamai, thank you, Priscilla, thank you, Michelle, for writing your email. I still encourage all of us to keep writing our emails. Let me also lead by example. So that's mine. I'll also get this document. And so, yeah, let's please write our emails and we'll get the document as well as other materials as well. So thank you, and I'll just close with a short prayer. Father in heaven, we thank you for this webinar. We thank you for this wonderful time that we've had today. We thank you because you've guided us and you've been with us in everything that we have gone through today, in every discussion that we've had today. Lord, as we now proceed with other things that we're going to be doing, I ask you to please guide us and bless us. In Jesus' name, I pray and I believe. Amen. So that's a wrap, and see you guys in the next one. Kindly leave your email before you exit. Do not leave us lonely. We still need to talk to you. So thank you very much.